off today. If you are getting ready to sell your home or maybe buy a home, what are some things you should consider before working with an agent?
Well, I think, and good morning to you, Melissa. The big thing is first plan. You need to plan. I kind of consider the fact that give yourself time. Do not work under pressure. Is the fact that if you find a home that you really like and you're not working with a realtor, and then you feel you have to work with the realtor that just happens to be in your face, that's not really a good plan. So the big thing is to plan ahead. The analogy that I like to do is it's kind of like clothing. You know, we all have a different style, and Melissa, you and I have bantered about this. We all have a different style of how we like to dress. And if someone puts you in a situation or a clothing that you are uncomfortable with, that's not a good fit. So there are certain things that you should plan for, and it's never too early whatsoever to get to know your realtor, whether you are buying or selling.
So when should you really start looking for that agent?
If you know that you are going to be looking within the next year or so, then I would start interviewing. So we talked about buying. So typical interview questions. It sounds like ABC, yet they are typical interview questions. So if we lean on the buyer side, is the fact that there are standard interview questions that you are and probably actually should ask. Is this your first home? No matter what, when we are buying a home, whether it is for investment or for sale, you need to know that you are getting the right dollar for it. And so you need to ask the questions. So when you are interviewing for a buyer's agent, go to their office and sit down with them and see if they are a good fit for you. For example, good questions to ask. How many years of experience do they have? I know that sounds petty because I do feel that there are some really good young agents out there who don't have a lot of experience, yet then we go down the line a little bit because it's years of experience have a lot to do with how they negotiate. So who are their typical client? If you are looking at moving at a townhome and you're dealing with a $1 million agent who normally deals with higher end, they may not make you priority. I'm not saying this is true all the time. You just want to know who their typical client is. And then in addition, are they familiar with your area, right? Additionally, is the fact that it is important to know what the school zones are, what the parks are, what the family orientation is. Are you looking for a country property? Do they know country property? I've had agents call me because they didn't understand country properties. We just did a deal last night and they did not understand boiler systems. So you need to interview your agent to make sure that they understand what stone foundations are versus new home zones, etc.
Right.
And, so that's really, really important.
Perfect.
In addition to that, are they communicating with you the way that you want them to?
Again, it's Colleen, and of course, we're talking now about selling. So if you are selling your home, should you approach finding a realtor in the same way, or should that change?
I think it really is the same way. We need to interview your realtor. You need to find the great fit for you. And the fact, I never want someone to end up with a realtor under duress. So if we're talking about selling at this point in time, both with buyers and sellers, is the fact that you need to ask your agent, are you full-time or are you part-time? No, I am a full-time agent, yet, there are some great part-time agents out there, yet you have to understand, if you need to buy a home, Ottawa being a very transient city between government and high tech and everything else, we have people coming in here and they need to buy a home now. And if you're part-time and you can't get a hold of them either before 4 or after 4 because they have another job after 4, it is really important to know, are they full-time, are they part-time? Also, if you're looking at selling a home, you need to ask the hard questions. And I think that a lot of people are afraid to ask those questions. And we honor them and want you to ask them, how many homes have you sold this year? Are you a seller's agent or are you a buyer's agent? How many homes have you actually sold? So that is a valid question. I think a lot of people are really afraid to ask that. Mm-hmm. In addition to the fact that, do you have a marketing plan? Do you have a plan that will help sell my home? And exactly what is it, and lay it out. My team, myself, we have extended it this year. We now are up to 21 points for selling your home. What are those 21 points? And how are you going to help me market my plan in a way that will help me get the most audience for my particular home? The other thing as well is a lot of general public doesn't understand. I want them to ask, who is actually going to do my open house? We are back to open houses. We are absolutely embracing open houses. And a lot of people think you can't sell a home with open houses. If they are done correctly, you absolutely can, because they are afraid to call their realtor due to the lack of communication. And so who's doing my open houses? There are agents who actually shop out their open houses. So it may not be their team. It has to be their brokerage, yet it may not be them because they don't want to do it. So for myself, I know that I do my own open houses every time that I can be there, because I know your home absolutely the best way, right? And again, we talk about the full-time, part-time component, yet when you are looking at a sales agent, what the other component, another question, number 5, is the fact that, do they sell in that neighborhood? Do they know that neighborhood? Do they sell mostly townhomes if you're looking at selling a 2.5? Or do they know how to divot between the two? It is very different to sell a townhome versus a $2.1 million house, right? And again, lastly, you should always ask for references. I know that they will always send the best references, yet you can ask the same questions from the references that you ask the realtor to see that they actually match.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Colleen, for joining us this morning and giving us some great advice on choosing the right agent for you.
Thank you.
And of course, if you want to get